Welcome to Andrés Insight, where clarity meets curiosity. I'm really glad you're joining us today for a deep dive that kind of builds on some things we've touched on before, about coping and adapting. We talk a lot about resilience, right? That amazing human thing where we bounce back from tough times. But what happens when just bouncing back doesn't feel like enough? Or maybe even feels wrong? What if the challenges are so huge, so life-altering, that going back to how things were just isn't really on the table?
That's such a great point, and it's a really crucial distinction because today we're going to dig into a concept that might sound a bit strange at first, almost paradoxical. It's called post-traumatic growth, or PTG for short.
Hmm.
And it's this surprising, really powerful idea that genuine, deep, positive transformation can actually come directly out of intense struggle,
Yeah.
out of suffering.
Okay, wait, so you're saying growth from trauma? That sounds
Yeah,
tricky.
it is tricky, and we need to be really clear. This absolutely isn't about saying trauma is good or something anyone should ever want, not at all.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding this incredible, almost like alchemical capacity humans have for real fundamental change that can emerge from wrestling with that trauma.
Yeah.
It's about how, when we're pushed right to our limits, we can sometimes find these totally new depths of strength, forge new meanings, maybe even find a new purpose that, goes beyond the pain itself.
Right. So the mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack that. How do people move through truly profound adversity, not just to get by or recover, but to actually reshape their lives, to thrive maybe? How do they find these unexpected strengths, these completely new ways of seeing things along the way? It sounds like a journey into the potential within the struggle.
Exactly. It's about the potential for growth, even when things feel incredibly dark.
So usually when we talk resilience, like you said, we picture maybe a tree bending in the wind and then popping back up straight. It's about keeping your balance or getting it back quickly,
Yeah.
maintaining things. But this post-traumatic growth, PTG, that's fundamentally different from just being resilient.
It is profoundly distinct, yes.
Yeah.
Resilience is absolutely vital, don't get me wrong. We need it. But PTG describes something else. It's a process where someone experiences genuinely positive psychological shifts because of the intense struggle with incredibly stressful, sometimes shattering events. It's not just getting back to baseline, it's a radical fundamental shift. It often leads to a new and maybe even richer understanding of yourself and your place in the world.
Okay, so the growth comes from the struggle itself, not just from surviving it.
Precisely. That's the paradox. The growth emerges from the fight, not from somehow avoiding the pain or wishing it away. Think about it like this. When a really traumatic event happens, it often just shatters our basic assumptions about how the world works. We all have these core beliefs. Psychologists sometimes call it our assumptive world. Beliefs about safety, fairness, predictability, maybe even that we're somehow immune to bad things.
Yeah, you kind of take those things for granted.
You do.
Yeah.
And when a traumatic event hits, that whole structure, that worldview can just collapse. It's like the ground gives way beneath you. And this creates this profound cognitive and emotional mess, really, disequilibrium.
Yeah.
Your internal compass just goes haywire. Everything you thought you knew about safety, about justice, about your future, it's all suddenly up in the air.
Wow. So it's not just a shock, it's like a fundamental earthquake inside you, forcing you to question absolutely everything.
That's a great way to put it, an earthquake. And it's the intense, often really painful mental and emotional work that happens after the quake. That's the key. The struggle to make sense of it all, to somehow fit this awful thing into your life story, to try and rebuild a new way of understanding, that's what sets the stage for PTG. It's a fundamental reorganization of your life schemas, like the mental blueprints you use to navigate the world, and a deep restructuring of your values, your priorities. You're not just patching up the old blueprint, you're actually designing a new one, often, hopefully, with a stronger foundation built from that very struggle.
So it's less about getting back to normal and much more about forging a new normal, one that might be deeper, maybe more meaningful,
Yeah.
definitely shaped by the experience.
That's a critical distinction, yes. And something else that's just as critical to emphasize, PTG isn't guaranteed. It's not universal. Many people who go through trauma, quite understandably, experience lasting negative effects, PTSD, depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
That's a very real outcome. And sometimes people experience both. The negative impacts and some growth happening at the same time. It can be complex.
Right. It's not a silver lining situation.
Absolutely not. We have to trust again. Trauma is never good, never desirable. The focus here is only on understanding the positive transformations that can happen despite the immense distress. It's about acknowledging that incredible human capacity for growth, even when facing the absolute worst, and seeing that these changes come from the struggle, not the trauma itself.
Okay, to really get our heads around this, maybe let's look at an example. An inspiring story that really shows someone confronting a huge, life-altering physical challenge, but with this incredible spirit. Imagine someone like right on the verge of a brilliant career, a young physicist, super smart, ready to unlock secrets of the universe, and then suddenly, in their early 20s, they're hit with this devastating degenerative illness. We're talking, of course, about Stephen Hawking. His story really shows that clear before and after,
Yeah.
defined by the immense ongoing challenges of his condition.
Indeed. Stephen Hawking's journey is a profound example of this. His illness, ALS, obviously caused tremendous suffering and progressively limited his physical abilities. But that very diagnosis, that confrontation with mortality, became this powerful catalyst. It forced a complete rethink of his life's meaning, his priorities. Before the diagnosis, apparently he was bright, but maybe a bit unfocused as a grad student. But knowing his time might be limited, facing that physical decline, it paradoxically ignited this incredible focus, this determination.
How so? What changed?
Well, he understood that his mind was his greatest asset, right? Not his body. So he doubled down on his work, pushed the limits in theoretical physics, even as his physical world got smaller and smaller, eventually communicating through technology, using just tiny muscle movements. It was extraordinary. The existential crisis fueled his intellectual drive.
It's just mind-boggling to think that such a terrible blow could lead to that kind of explosion of achievement, both intellectually and personally.
It really is. And his experience highlights several dimensions of PTG we often see. He clearly developed a greater appreciation for life, right? Understanding how fragile it was. He found new possibilities, not just in physics, but in becoming this global voice, using technology, inspiring millions. Showing disability doesn't mean inability. His personal strength became legendary, that perseverance. And crucially, it forced that deep restructuring of his beliefs and goals you mentioned. The physical limits almost liberated his mind, allowed him to focus intensely on the cosmos in a way that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise. His body diminished, but his impact, his mind, his spirit, they just soared.
That deep reevaluation, the restructuring, that seems key to the whole transformation process. When we face something traumatic, there's often this initial internal battle, right? It's not about putting on a brave face, quite the opposite. It seems like it's about the really hard, painful work of actually confronting what happened, letting yourself feel it all, not shutting down those raw, difficult emotions. That feels like the brave first step.
That internal battle you're describing connects directly to something powerful and often really misunderstood. Vulnerability. Brené Brown's work has shed so much light here. She defines vulnerability not as weakness, but as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Just think about the courage it takes to ask for help when you feel like you're drowning, or to admit you made a mistake, or just to show real emotion, grief, fear, anger, without knowing how people will react.
Yeah, those are tough things to do. Feels risky.
They are huge acts of vulnerability. But here's the thing. By embracing it, by allowing yourself to actually feel and express those difficult emotions instead of just bottling them up or toughing it out, that's how you create the conditions for deeper connection, for trust, and even, eventually, for things like joy and creativity to come back.
That's powerful. Because we're often taught, aren't we, to project strength, hide the struggle, but you're saying it might be in those moments of openness, of being vulnerable, that we actually connect with others and start to transform. That feels like a total flip from the usual script.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because when we try to numb the pain, the sadness, we often inadvertently numb everything else too. Our ability to feel joy, gratitude, real connection. So that openness, especially when you're dealing with hard stuff, is what strengthens relationships. It lets people see you, understand you, offer support. That's crucial for healing. It's about being all in with your emotions, the messy ones too, not just picking the acceptable ones. And that willingness to lean into the discomfort, to be real, that's often where the growth starts. And this shift, this growth, it often shows up in what researchers identify as 5 main areas or dimensions of post-traumatic growth.
Okay, what are those?
Well, generally they are developing a greater appreciation for life, discovering new possibilities or paths in life, recognizing a newfound sense of personal strength, experiencing spiritual or existential change, maybe deepening your faith or sense of purpose, and fostering improved, deeper relationships with others. Stories like Hawking's often touch on several of these.
Interesting. Okay, let's maybe explore some of those pathways more. You mentioned creativity earlier. How does art fit into this? I'm thinking of someone like Frida Kahlo. Her life was just filled with intense physical pain from accidents and really turbulent relationships too, so much suffering. And her art is so visceral, isn't it?
Yeah,
It feels like a direct expression of that pain, like a visual diary.
exactly. Creative expression, painting, writing, music, whatever form it takes can be this incredibly healthy, transformative way to engage with overwhelming emotions,
Mm.
but without being totally consumed by them. It's like
Mm.
it lets you externalize the chaos inside, give form to that formless anguish. For Kahlo, those self-portraits, often showing her physical pain, her emotional turmoil with such brutal honesty, that was her way of exploring her inner world, articulating it, finding meaning in it. It creates a kind of psychological distance, you see. You're creating about the pain, not just being the pain.
That makes sense, like processing it through the act of creation.
Precisely. And research backs this up. Art therapy, for instance, has been shown to help lower anxiety, reduce how much pain people feel, even help with physiological stability in people dealing with serious illness. It's a powerful way to process, to reframe, maybe find some beauty or insight, even within the struggle itself.
And does this extend beyond just the individual? Like, can art help communities heal? I'm thinking about things like music programs in really tough neighborhoods, like Sinfonia por the Peru that Gustavo Dudamel supports. It seems like more than just music lessons.
Oh, absolutely. Those programs are fantastic examples. They don't just teach kids instruments. They offer structure, discipline, a sense of belonging, teamwork, hope, things that might be missing in environments marked by poverty or social exclusion. They learn to create harmony together, literally and figuratively. It offers a new possible future. And similarly, you see art projects helping marginalized groups, like women finding their voice, building self-knowledge, autonomy, social skills. It gives them new perspectives. Art becomes a bridge. It fosters empathy, inclusion. It helps build a shared story, a shared language for transformation, both for individuals and the whole community.
Wow. Okay, so creativity is one powerful avenue. What about humor? That seems like an odd one. Can humor really help when dealing with something traumatic?
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Right.
Laughing in the face of adversity. But yes, humor can be a surprisingly significant coping mechanism, a pathway to growth even.
Really? I mean, I guess I've seen it. Sometimes in the darkest times, people crack jokes. Maybe it's a release valve.
That's a good way to think of it, a release valve. Humor doesn't make the pain go away, obviously. It doesn't erase the event. But it can change your perspective, even just for a moment. It can make overwhelming problems feel a little less daunting. It provides a tiny bit of distance, a shift in how you're framing it. And physiologically, laughter can actually be calming. It can release tension, help your nervous system shift back from that high alert, fight or flight state to something calmer. It helps regulate your emotions.
So it's not about dismissing the seriousness, but finding a moment of lightness, a little breathing room.
Exactly. But there's a really important caution here. Humor isn't helpful if it's used to just avoid feeling the real emotions or to constantly deflect. That kind of humor, using jokes to suppress or deny what's happening, can actually get in the way of healthy processing. The kind of humor that aids growth often comes after you've faced the pain, after you've acknowledged it. Then finding a lighter perspective, maybe seeing an absurdity, can be really powerful. It's the difference between laughing at the pain to pretend it isn't there versus laughing with life despite the pain as a way of saying, I can still find light. It's resilience through levity, not denial.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about individual tools like creativity and humor. What about other people? How important is community support in this whole process? We tend to think of resilience as this solo act,
Right.
something inside you, but it sounds like connections are key.
Absolutely essential. A strong sense of belonging, feeling supported by your community,
Yeah.
that can honestly be the make or break factor in healing and growth. Think about big collective tragedies, natural disasters, conflicts, even economic crises. What do you often see emerge?
People pulling together, helping each other out.
Exactly. Remarkable unity, mutual support, strangers helping strangers, neighbors rebuilding together. There's this powerful sense of we're all in this. And sometimes, strangely, people even miss that intense feeling of connection once the immediate crisis is over and things go back to normal.
It's like the hardship forces a deeper kind of connection, strips away the superficial stuff.
Precisely. And that directly relates to that PTG dimension of improved relationships with others. Family support is obviously huge, too. Having people who can validate your feelings, normalize those strong reactions, provide a safe space that fosters closeness and creates the right environment for healing. There's a saying, right? Without nurturing relationships, the capacity to heal diminishes. Kinship, shared experience, they're fundamental. We see this throughout history, even in devastating events like the London Blitz and WWII. Awful time. But reports show it paradoxically strengthened community spirit and mutual aid. People relied on each other. And you see it today in disaster responses, those volunteer networks, the grassroots support. It shows this deep human drive to connect and help when things get tough. Those shared struggles forge bonds.
So, beyond creativity, humor, community, there must be other ways this growth happens too. It sounds like a really varied landscape.
Oh, definitely. It's a mosaic of experiences. There are so many narratives that show different sides of PTG, different ways people find transformation, often in ways they never expected.
Can you give another example? Maybe something different.
Well, think about a story like the one in the film Campiones, or Champions in English. It's about this pretty cynical basketball coach who has to coach a team of players with diverse intellectual disabilities as part of his community service.
Ah, yeah, I think I know that one.
It's such a beautiful illustration of growth, not just for the players, but maybe even more so for the coach. He starts off frustrated, full of prejudice, but through working with the team, embracing their differences, adapting, he learns patience, empathy. He finds this unexpected joy and purpose. It completely shatters his own biases. He starts seeing their unique capabilities, their brilliance. That's finding new possibilities, not just for himself, but seeing them in others. And that changes his view of society, of what normal even means. The whole journey redefines what's possible for everyone involved.
That's a great example of finding new perspectives and improved relationships. What about finding that inner strength, that perseverance against overwhelming odds?
For that, you might think of a narrative like, well, like the Shawshank Redemption. Fictional, yes, but such a powerful archetype. The protagonist, Andy Dufresne, unjustly imprisoned for decades in this brutal place. He embodies that personal strength and finding new possibilities against unimaginable adversity. He doesn't just survive passively, he actively cultivates hope. He works towards long-term goals that seem impossible, building the library, helping others, holding on to that inner vision of freedom. His dedication over decades, that hidden secret. It shows that profound restructuring of goals, finding an inner resilience that lets him create a new reality, even inside prison walls. His eventual rebirth isn't just getting out, it's emerging as someone forged by that suffering, someone with incredible foresight and strength.
It's amazing how those themes, new possibilities, personal strength, appreciating life, echo across such different kinds of adversity. A physical illness, social prejudice, unjust imprisonment. And like you said, it's not always these huge, dramatic things. Even relationship breakdowns, which usually just feel like failures, can sometimes be opportunities for growth.
They absolutely can.
Hmm.
A serious relationship crisis often shatters the assumptive world within that specific relationship, right? The beliefs you had about your partner, your future together. It takes enormous courage then, real vulnerability, to face the pain, confront the hard truths, be emotionally open. Both partners have to be willing. But if they do that difficult work together, a crisis can reshape the relationship in really positive ways. It can lead to deeper intimacy, stronger trust, a new shared purpose. They might find new possibilities in how they connect, leading to an improved relationship that's more authentic, more resilient than before.
So ultimately, dealing with trauma, whatever form it takes, involves recognizing your own strengths, maybe strengths you didn't even know you had.
Yes, recognizing your courage, your resilience, and then using those to adapt to the new reality.
Hmm.
And that often involves that crucial reevaluation of your core beliefs and values.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as you mentioned, people make huge life changes, new careers, new paths altogether. They find a purpose that feels more aligned with who they've become through the experience. It's like they're saying, okay, the person I was before this happened, that doesn't quite fit anymore. I'm integrating this. I'm becoming someone new, someone maybe more aware, more whole.
Okay, this is all incredibly powerful, this idea of growth from struggle. But we need to talk about the flip side, right? There's this pressure sometimes, isn't there? This idea of toxic resilience or maybe toxic positivity, that pressure to always look strong, always be positive, just get over it. That sounds like it could actually get in the way of real growth.
Oh, absolutely. That pressure is incredibly dangerous
Mhm.
because it forces emotional suppression. It denies the reality of the pain. Think about it if someone tells you to just look on the bright side. When your entire world feels like it's collapsing, what does that do? It invalidates your experience. It shuts down the processing. It's like trying to heal a deep cut by just slapping a smiley face sticker on it. The infection underneath just gets worse.
Yeah, it makes you feel ashamed for feeling bad, like you're failing if you're not instantly okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People start to downplay their struggles. They feel stigmatized for having negative feelings, which are completely normal human reactions to terrible events.
Mm.
And because they feel ashamed, they become really reluctant to reach out, to ask for help, which leads to isolation, often making things much, much worse. They end up thinking they have to suffer alone, in silence, while pretending everything's fine.
And this constant push for optimism, if it's not based in reality, it could lead to bad decisions too, like not seeing risks.
Precisely. Unchecked optimism can lead to unrealistic expectations of yourself, of life. It can make you discount negative information, ignore warning signs, maybe not learn from difficult experiences because you're only focused on the positive. True mental health and genuine growth requires balance. It means acknowledging all your emotions, the positive and the negative, as valid parts of being human. It's about letting yourself feel the reality of the situation so you can process it healthily and adapt. It's okay to say, this is awful, this hurts like hell. Acknowledging that fully is often the first step towards being able to say, okay, now what? How do I move forward from here? You can't change what you won't even admit is real.
Right. Okay, so wrapping things up for this deep dive, let's distill the main takeaways. Post-traumatic growth. It's this challenging but potentially profoundly transformative journey. Not a quick fix, not guaranteed. It's more like a path, right? An ongoing process, not just a destination you arrive at.
That's a great way to put it. The path of integration, of meaning making. And to recap, while trauma is undeniably painful, shattering even, the struggle to integrate it, to rebuild your understanding, can lead to those profound positive changes, like we discussed. A deeper appreciation for life itself, finding new paths, new possibilities you hadn't seen, recognizing your own incredible strength, maybe shifts in your spiritual life or sense of purpose, and forging deeper, more meaningful connections with others. It's about finding agency in the aftermath, finding the freedom to choose how you live with the experience, even though the experience itself wasn't your choice. It's about writing the next chapter.
That message of hope, of personal agency, feels really important here, knowing that deep meaning, incredible strength, they can emerge even from the hardest things. And it highlights how important critical thinking is, questioning our own assumptions, not just about the world, but our internal stories too. That seems vital for navigating these experiences and finding that path toward growth, becoming the architect of your own transformation, like you said.
Exactly. And maybe just one final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Healing is definitely a journey. The scars remain. They're part of your story, testament to what you've overcome. But for some, even when the pain feels overwhelming, there's this powerful ability to, in a way, rewrite the ending, to take hold of the narrative, create their own unique path forward, find light even in what felt like total darkness. The transformation isn't about erasing those scars. It's about them becoming maybe luminous markers, signs of strength, wisdom, and that incredible undeniable capacity of the human spirit to not just endure, but to truly flourish.
That's beautifully put, a really hopeful note to end on. If this deep dive resonated with you today and you want to explore post-traumatic growth or related ideas further, please do check out our growth library. We've put some resources and links in the show notes for you, and we really encourage you to reflect on your own journeys. If you feel comfortable doing so, maybe share your stories or thoughts on social media using the hashtag #MyLuminousScar. Let's try and build a community around shared growth and understanding, because sometimes the best insights come from hearing each other's experiences. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive at Andrés Insight, where we always aim to bring clarity to curiosity.